Look at this. It's from the weekend. It's a reporter in Portland, Oregon, named Andy Ngo. He has written for various prestigious publications, including for the Wall Street Journal. He's also an editor with a new online magazine called Quillette. I've had a chance to talk with Andy a few times. Very thoughtful guy, a bit shy actually, a dissident in his own quiet way. He's from Vietnam, he's gay. He's the type of journalist that the left would expect, even demand, that he be a woke left-wing identity politics grievance monger, but he's not. I don't think I'd call him an outright conservative, but I'd call him a skeptic, which is a form of conservatism, don't you think? And look at him getting beaten to a pulp on the city streets of Portland by thugs, some wearing masks, some not, just brazen. Police there, but they don't care. No arrests were made. It's gang violence. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. They're chasing him. Gang violence, but a very specific gang. It's not a drug gang or a Hells Angels gang, though I'm sure they do all manner of petty crimes too. It's a political gang. They call themselves Antifa, which is short for anti-fascist, but that's like Orwell calling the Ministry of War the Ministry of Peace. They're not anti-fascist. They're fascist. I think this is the most Orwellian photo I've ever seen in my whole life. Those are not cops or anything in the masks. That's from an Antifa riot in California a couple years back. Do you see those signs? Those signs that say no hate. Those obviously aren't National Guard or police. That is a gang. They have a standard issue gang fighting equipment. They have shields. Those are actual shields. Put the first one up again. Actual shields that they block. Look at those. And look at, they have literally have written in friendly, colorful, what is that, like a kitty cat on one of them? No hate. They smash people with those no hate shields. While they say no hate on them, that's like shooting someone with a gun that says ban guns on it or something, which goes to a key point here. Antifa isn't just a group of violent thugs who often wear masks. They're a political group, a street gang at the service of Democrats in the United States and liberals and New Democrats and Greens here in Canada. They're terrorists in that way. They deploy violence in support of a political goal. That's absolutely the definition of a terrorist group, by the way. They have a message: hate the right, scare people, make chaos seem the norm. They absolutely operate with the support of left-wing politicians, including police chiefs. Here they are a couple years back rioting at Berkeley, which was home to the free speech movement in the 60s and 70s. The police there were told to stand down, to let Antifa rioters send a message to, if you remember, that was Milo Yiannopoulos and campus Republicans who had a meeting there. Berkeley means free speech, but not for the wrong people. They don't just riot on campuses. Here they are at the private residence of Tucker Carlson, the Fox News TV host, at his home. They surrounded his home when he wasn't at home. But his wife and kids were at home, and they came right up to the front door and hit it so hard the door cracked. That's Antifa. I've never heard of the Hells Angels going to your house and doing that to you unless maybe you owed them a gambling debt or a drug debt. The Hells Angels, most gangs, they don't have that kind of brazen approach. They'd be met with a police SWAT team if they tried that. You send 100 gang members, the Bloods, the Crips, the Hells Angels, whatever, you send them into a campus. It would be the biggest police response in a generation. But Antifa, no problem. It's what the left does when they lose power legitimately. Antifa is not normal. It's not organic. The Bloods and the Crips are actually organic. They're economic organizations. They traffic guns and drugs and prostitutions. They control geography. And in their own sick way, unfortunately, they fill a need for fraternal friendship in a society where a lot of fathers are just missing or in jail. The Hells Angels, they're about money and power. They have a raison d'etre, even if we disagree with it. But Antifa, it wouldn't exist on its own. It doesn't make money. They don't engage in commerce, really. They're completely funded. They're a rent-a-mob, literally. They're a shock troop team. They're one standard deviation more radical than, say, the Women's March in Washington, D.C. That's also funded. I don't know if you know that the Women's March was funded with almost $250 million from George Soros. Same with Antifa. They get money from dark political funders like Soros. There would be no market for that normally. So that's Antifa. And on the weekend, they beat a reporter, Andy Ngo, so badly that he had to go to the hospital for 30 hours. with a brain hemorrhage. Here he is on TV explaining things, but you can still see that he's not himself.
I'm suddenly bashed on the back of my head from behind. And from there, I'm a very passive person. I've never been in a fight. It took me a few seconds to realize that I was actually even hitting my head. When I realized what was happening, it was too late. A mob of people, all dressed in black and wearing masks, started beating me with their fists, and some of them used objects to hit me.
Now, if that were a reporter from CNN or the New York Times who had been beat up by a right-wing group, or God forbid, an alt-right group linked with racism, it would be the top story for the whole country, for the media party for a weekend. Add in the fact that Andy Ngo is Vietnamese and gay, that's just the perfect storm, except for the fact that he's against Antifa and they're against him. He exposes them. So other than a few perfunctory news appearances and going on Tucker Carlson's own show, that's about it. I didn't see any press releases from the ACLU about protecting journalists and free speech. When CNN's prima donna, Jim Acosta, had his privileges taken away for, what was it, 24 hours at the White House because he grabbed a microphone out of an intern's hand. It was a 5-alarm fire for the media party. Oh my God, the First Amendment's under attack. Trump's bringing in McCarthyism. An actual journalist, though, is actually beat up for journalisming. And the media party, the press gallery, the prestigious Columbia School of Journalism, Reporters Without Borders, PEN International, all the groups on the left are silent. Take a look just one more time. Why? Well, mainly because Andy Ngo is one of the few journalists to accurately report on Antifa itself. So it's not just that they hate him because he's on the right, or at least on the left. It's that he exposes them again and again. Here's his Twitter feed. Now, he writes for prestigious publications too, but also online, just on Twitter. Just little cell phone videos that he posts, like last year when he showed street riots. Take a look at this. I think we did a show on this when it happened. That's downtown Portland, Oregon. Who else reported on that riot? Not CNN, but not the CBC up here, of course. But boy, did we get a lot of coverage of any right-winger anywhere who chanted "Lock her up" to Hillary Clinton. And one of the most interesting things about Andy Ngo is that he's recently debunked hate crimes hoaxes. And what I mean by that is whenever someone claims to have been attacked for racial or other reasons, Andy does something that really should have earned him a Pulitzer Prize. I think he meticulously follows up on breathless first reports of hate crimes, transgender people saying they were hate crimed, black people, gay people, Jewish people, every minority who cries wolf. Well, Andy calmly follows up weeks or months later and says, hey, whatever happened to that? And in a staggering number of cases, it turns out to have been a hoax. It was either not hate motivated at all, it was just a regular crime that the media or the victim politicized, or in a terrible number of cases, the whole thing was a setup. The whole thing was set up as political theater, just like that actor Jussie Smollett, who said that a couple of white guys wearing Trump hats in Chicago accosted him outside a Subway sandwiches restaurant at like 2 or 3 a.m. and had a noose with them and bleach and put the noose around his neck and bleached him. The whole thing was so obviously made up. And one detail I like, he never dropped the sandwich though. We all heard about that hoax, but Andy Ngo has a dozen hoaxes he's exposed. So great journalism. and you can see why the left hate him, and fair enough. But the street gangs on the left, well, they are ready to censor him in real life if they can't censor him in journalism, right? So criminals are going to be criminals. But what about the police? Where are they? Well, that's the thing. Portland is actually the most perfectly liberal city in America. It's so woke. It's actually the whitest big city in America, statistically speaking. Nothing against that, but as some sort of weird penance for that, I think. Their liberals have turned the whole place into a sanctuary city for any of the left's terrible ideas. It's like that crazy song from Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones 50 years ago. I don't know if you remember that song. It was written in the upheaval of 1968. The song was called Sympathy for the Devil. There's just that one line, just as every cop is a criminal and all the sinners saints, as heads as tails, just call me Lucifer because I'm in need of some restraint. I don't know if you know that song, Sympathy for the Devil. So that was the Rolling Stones' take on the upside-down world of the 1960s. It was a thought experiment, that song, in insanity and revolution where cops are criminals. But that's Portland today. The cops are treated like criminals, and the criminals are treated like saints. And so it is the policy of the city of Portland, expressed by the mayor and as given effect by the police chief, that criminals will not be charged. The sinners are saints, as Mick Jagger told us. It's terrible. Should be the safest city in America. It's not. It's a no-go zone. In fact, no one wants to be a cop there. They can't fill the police force. Neighboring police forces don't like to help Portland with emergencies because they know that they will have no political support when it comes to violence. The mayor loves that. He boasts about that. Hey, did you ever see that great TV show about Portland called Portlandia? It's the closest thing to a conservative comedy show as you get on TV. It's written by two liberals, but Portland is so over the top, they make fun of it because it's just too much in Portland. Can I show you a 1-minute clip from Portlandia? This is spot on. It's Portland. This bike courier guy, I think that's pretty much the mayor today. Take a look.
Bicycle right! Bicycle right!
Bicycle right!
Bicycle! On a bike!
On a bike!
I'm on a bike.
You're gonna turn? You gotta tell me!
Watch out! Bike!
Cars, man, why?
I don't have a driver's license!
I don't need it.
Get a bike lane here.
Hey, I get this whole lane.
10 feet rule!
Oregon state law, 10 feet.
Hey, birds! You guys have little bikes? What are you looking at?
I dig that tribal look.
Move it! All Foods is corporate!
I hope I get a sunburn.
Hold up! I'm stopping. I'm stopped. That means I'm stopped. Pull your mirrors in. Go down, let go.
Oh, lofts, why?
Watch out. Hey, bike lane. Bike lane. Bicycle right.
Go vegan.
Move.
Gotta move over a little bit. A better place you could be.
Move. Go.
Ow! Bicycle rights. Is anyone home? Stuart. Stu? You home? Please don't be working at the co-op. Please.
Oh, that last 5 seconds is so good. I mean, it's funny, but it's funny because you know it is true. Now imagine that guy being mayor. Yeah. Well, the attacking of Andy Ngo in broad daylight with police right there, right outside various office buildings of the police and the courts is stunning to you and me, but it's normal in Portland now. But at least conservative Twitter made enough of a fuss about it over the weekend. The mayor felt compelled to say after the fact that he might have the police look into things. I'm going to look into things. Yeah, what a joke. His police were right there. They were feet away. They didn't miss it. It wasn't an oversight or a surprise. It was an instruction from the mayor's police chief with the approval of the mayor to let Antifa do whatever they want, as usual. That's what a sanctuary city is. What a joke. But I think the worst are the journalists on the left who celebrated Andy Ngo being beaten. He's gay, he's a person of color, he's an immigrant, as they would normally say, but he's off-brand, you see, so he's left the team, so he has to be devoured. Here's one example. This is an officially verified journalist who says, I think this will calm everyone down if I clarify Andy Ngo was cruising for a bruising, so to speak. Doesn't make it right, but a slice of that GoFundMe scratch might make me sing another tune. Andy, get at me. Oh. Well, there was a GoFundMe to raise funds for his medical care and for security next time. I don't know why Andy's employer, Quillette, didn't give him security in advance, but maybe they don't have as much experience being attacked as our journalists do. We've had our people roughed up all over the place. Remember this thug here, Dion Buse? We've this in Toronto hitting Lauren Southern. We spend tens of thousands of dollars on security every year and tens of thousands suing those who assault us. We chase that thug Dion Buse. There's a Terry Guillon from the Prime Minister's office. Yeah, and there's the Radisson Hotel East. People attack our reporters all the time. We're used to it. But it's pretty much unanimous on Twitter. Liberal journalists, here's another one. Liberal journalists were glad that Andy Ngo was hit. It's like journalists who were glad that Tommy Robinson was put in prison. They might not like to see how the eggs are cracked, but they like the omelet, don't they? We have Antifa in Canada too. They attack us, they attack the Toronto Sun, they attack anyone they hate, and like in the US, they generally act with impunity. It's not just Antifa, by the way. Do you remember 5 years ago there was a massive riot by Muslim extremists on the street in Calgary against a Jewish family right outside City Hall, sending the family to the hospital. The mayor, Naheed Nenshi, didn't say a public word about it. He's not going to call off his street thugs. It's an American story, the story of Andy Ngo, but it's our story in Canada too. It's a story of the United Kingdom as well. It's a story about the thugs on the left who try to achieve through violence what they can't achieve through persuasion. It's so weird that our mainstream media, which pretends to be against hate and against violence and against censorship, well, they really don't give a damn when it's someone on the left attacking on someone on the right, do they? That's an excerpt from the Ezra Levant show. Every day I do a video monologue and then I interview an interesting guest and then I end by reading my hate mail. But you've got to subscribe to it, which you can do at therebel.media/shows.